Welcome, fellow audio slaves. I hope that's not copyrighted and I'm not going to get sued. We are going to do a review demo of the Behringer Heavy Metal HM300. I'm just doing this for the sake of doing it. I've always wanted to do a review of the Behringer ones. I think we're going to do the reviews from now on a little bit more systematic, so we're going to start with build quality, usability, and then do some sound samples. There is a link to roughly where the sound samples start if you want to bypass all this jibber jabber. And we'll start with the build quality. I'm going to go in there and get a bit of a close-up so you can see. So let's start at the beginning. This is the Behringer HM300. It's some sort of metal majig. I've had it playing, it's not too bad. So let's start with the build quality. I think we all know by now that the Behringers are made out of plastic. Saying that, I don't think that these guys are actually going to break if you kind of treat them as you would treat any normal pedal. If you're going to start getting into street fights with them and start using them as some sort of brick or something, yeah, they'll probably break. But I think normal use, these guys will actually last a certain amount of time. What I don't like is the knobs. They're very small and your fingers get kind of stuck in there. So you have to dial them like that. Now, I suppose that's not the end of the world, but they also don't feel as quality as some of the kind of, well, especially they don't feel as nice as the Boss ones, and they don't feel as nice as some of the boutique ones, or even the other kind of lower range, lower value ones. So the one thing that I do think is important to mention, which really pisses the fuck out of me, is the way that you get to the battery. So just like the Boss, it has this kind of step-on pedal, which feels okay, but the problem is the battery underneath here. So the Boss has got this lovely system of turning this wee screw here loose and it opens up and there you go. And you can probably do that in any situation, but this guy here is fucking impossible. It has these wee things here that you need to depress all the way, and then this flips open. So you actually need a tool. So what I thought at first is that maybe this will work with just like normal, you know, you can use your guitar cables, push these wee buttons in and then open. But unfortunately, they don't push it far enough. So you actually have to use something else to push them all the fucking way in there, so that you can flip this fucking thing open. What a shite piece of fucking design. Boom, bam, there you go. So, now it's open, and it's got a nice wee recess for your battery. So these are the wee springy recess thing. In there you can probably see the wee button. It looks kind of like the TS ones I had in Ibanez tube screen, which had the button which looked very similar. It's got this wee rubber thing that depresses it, so maybe that button will wear out. But now here's problem number 2. So once you've had it open, after actually needing some tools, you now have to get it back together again. So this screw has to line up with that wee fucking thing there. This spring, sorry. So that has to stay there. So you first have to align them. Then you've got to depress this crap again and push this fucking thing in again. And you can notice my frustration by the amount of times I use the word fucking. So you actually need something to keep doing this, and it's not something that I can see somebody doing when they are in the dark in some pub trying to replace a battery. I think it is much easier to just accept the fact that you need a wee screwdriver. So I'd rather have, I really like the way that all the new pedals here, they just have a, 4 screws at the bottom, unscrew the thing and that's it. I mean, getting screws undone is easier than this. And you're more likely to have one screwdriver than two prongs, or something that you can use as two prongs to depress these pieces of shit. So there you go. That is my main fucking problem with this. My next issue with these things is the look of it. I mean, seriously, this one is a heavy metal pedal, and I don't mind pink, you know what I mean? You know, if you're comfortable with your sexuality, pink is not a problem. But it is just an awful pink, and they just look right. So they obviously modeled them after the fucking Boss pedals, right? But the Boss pedals look nice. These just look shit. Right, that's my main issue with these. They look shit. So let's go and do some sound demo samples. I have got this rig set up because I'm going to do a DS1 demo as well. I'm going to start with everything on 12 o'clock. And you will notice, first thing, so that's the clean sound. I have it all on 12, it's so much quieter. So I'm going to have to push the level all the way up to get to a half decent signal. So it doesn't, the actual drive just gets worse and worse. You do not have a crunch to distortion, it's quite distorted from the start. Now for a heavy metal pedal, I don't think that's an issue at all. It's a bit noisy and a bit like fuzzy at the end. Again, for a metal pedal, I don't think that's the end of the world. So I'm going to put the lows up a bit. Now, note I'm in standard tuning, not drop D or any sort of... I think this thing actually sounds pretty alright. The scooped sound is fucking awful. Because you can only do mids and low, not mids, low and high. So best sound seems to be somewhere in the middle. Now as you can see, I've also got the Joyo pedal in here. This is the roll boost, just so we can demo it with a boost behind it. I'm gonna do a bit of a distortion here. Let's get a half decent tone and engage the boost. A jar full of bees. I think the thing about this pedal is that it is more a kind of old style metal sound. It is not a new metal or modern kind of metal pedal. It's kind of old sounding in its tone. Let's go with a Distortion DS1. I think from a sound point of view, the pedal actually is not too bad. It's one of the less noisy ones. I had a Distortion overdrive one, which was quite noisy. Let me just take this guy out. Have a little bit more of a yappy about this guy, which I think is important. So here is the issue that I have with these pedals. These guys are what, £20 here in the UK, roughly, plus minus. They do the job. They always sound the way they're supposed to sound. They're not shit. They're not fucking awesome. They just kind of do what they need to do. I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. But I don't think that's a great thing either. They definitely don't go and try a little bit harder, which I find kind of strange for a big company like Behringer's. I mean, they have the selling power, I'm sure they have the turnover too, to kind of actually do these things better than they are doing now. So if I wanted to buy a cheap pedal because I don't have the money, or I'm just starting, or I'm buying it for a present to somebody who's just starting out, so I don't want to spend a lot of money because I want to check shit out first, right? I want to see if I'm going to play guitar. I want to, you know, the kind of reasons people would rather buy kind of budget gear. I don't think Behringer is a choice anymore, because I think the other boulders now are just better. Joyo, Moore, Hot Tone, E&O, Bellcat, all of them offer true bypass. They offer much more solid feel. They offer metal casings. They might not have the range that Behringer have with all the different types of pedals that they offer, but they offer all the kind of basic ones, and they're all roughly the same price. So if you ask me, if I had £20–30 to spend, would I buy a Behringer Heavy Metal, or would I buy some metal pedal from one of the other Chinese builders? The other thing is that I've seen a couple of videos of, I've seen a video of the Joyo factory. These guys are not, you know, it's not sweatshops anymore. I think it looks like the people are properly treated. It looks like they are happy to work there. I mean, that's what the video tells me, so I can't obviously be sure. But where's this built? I mean, who builds this thing? It's also China. God knows. God knows. So if I had the choice, I would probably buy something else. I would not buy a Behringer. So this guy's going back on eBay. It sounds great. It is probably worth its £18–20 that you can buy it new for. But no more than that, and if I had 20 quid, I'd probably spend it on somebody else, some other maker. So to round this up, I think they look god-awful. That's just a personal thing. I think that the dials could be better. We all know that Behringer has got, you're kind of lucky, if you know what I mean. You buy one and it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. You're either going to have problems with it or you don't. Fair enough, you just send it back and get a replacement, and you might be lucky again with either good or bad. But I think that's just not good enough anymore in today's kind of consumer environment. I think you need to build something decent and put the price on it that you need. Don't just try and flood the market with a whole bunch of cheap stuff. So these are obviously my opinions based on what I know. I definitely would not buy a Behringer pedal anymore. Before I knew about some of the other boulders, I might have, but not anymore. I think there's just so many things that these guys could do better. They could design this batteries recessed better. They could use a different material to build the pedal. They could use better pots. And all of that, I think the others do, and at the same price, and Behringer doesn't. And I think that most likely that could mean the end of them in a way for the kind of budget range pedal things. I have got a video about checking out the buffers, because these are all buffer pedals. Right here will be a link to it. Go and have a look at it. I've complained in the past about the buffer of these things. They sound as if they tone suck the thing. They, it sounds to me like they do, but after you'll see in the video, from the look of it, it seemingly doesn't. So I might be eating my words here or there. And if anybody else has any comments or tests about the buffers of Boss or any buffered pedal Behringer, please let me know, because I'd like to have a look at that too. I'd like to let you listen to one thing though. I'm gonna plug this guy in, and you'll hear what it sounds like when I plug when it powers up the buffer. Now listen. Zip. Listen again. Now, that is some weird tone. I don't know where that comes from, but anyway. So there you go. Behringer Heavy Metal HM300. Yeah, makes a great paperweight. There you go. Thanks a lot.